In this video, I'm going to illustrate an explosion effect using a picture of this rose. I don't know if it's really an explosion effect, but that's what it looks like to me, and that's my story and I'm sticking to it. I have a picture of the rose where I've already deleted the background. And what I did was I put a rectangle in there and gave it a little bit of color. So that's where we're starting off right here. If your rose has a background, or any object you use for this effect has a background in it, you're going to have to delete it. And I think you'll understand why when we proceed to do this with the perspective tool. Okay, first we need to duplicate the rose layer, and I'm going to do that by using a shortcut key, Control-J. If you've seen my other videos, what I normally do is I right-click on the layer and then select duplicate up there, and it duplicates the layer. Okay, so with this duplicate layer selected, we're going to go over here and find the perspective tool. And the perspective tool has two tools nested, the mesh warp tool and the perspective tool. So we're going to be using the perspective tool, and we're going to click on that, and then we need to see a grid on here. Notice how it's got a bounding box around it and it's selected it. Well, we need to show the grid. So we're going to show the grid, and then we're going to stretch it out like that. And there's really no right or wrong way to do this. So just, do whatever you need to do on this. And then, if you don't like it, you can always do it again. Okay, so I think that's how I'm going to do this. So now that I get what I believe I want, I'm going to click Apply. And then we've got a distorted rose on top of this rose down here on the bottom. With our distorted rose selected, we're going to be going up to Filters and then Noise, and then click on Diffuse. So when we click on Diffuse, it does that. Now, this rose already looks like it's exploding, and if you like it like that, you can keep it like that. Notice that there's a slider down here that will give you intensity. If you go back too much, then it just looks like it's been duplicated. Or you can go up to where it's just a fine mist. This one right here doesn't really look like it's exploding, but looks more like somebody just poured dust on it. So I'm going to go back here to where it's about 40. And I think I'm going to stick with that one. Then I'm going to click Apply. So here's where we are right now. Now, if you want to make this a little more sandy-like, you can use the paint brushes to do this. But if you like this, as far as an exploding rose, you can leave it like that. But I'm going to add two masks. So I'm going to select the top distorted layer, and I'm going to add a mask by going down here and add a mask layer. I'm going to pull that down. Now this mask layer right here, it should be black. If it's not black, then you're going to need to change it. And what you're going to do is you're going to go up here and go to Layer and Invert. And that will invert the layer and it will make it black. This rose layer down here is going to have a mask also, and it's going to be white. So we're going to add a layer right there, a mask layer right there. And so we have our white mask layer. Now, the reason that this pixel layer, this distorted layer, is black, notice that, well, I'll show you. Let me uncheck this mask layer. Notice how when I uncheck it, all of the distortion appears, but when I do click it, everything disappears. Well, it really didn't disappear. What's happening is this black mask has covered it up. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking some paint brushes and painting over this mask layer in order to uncover what we want to uncover. This mask layer down here is white because the white layer is letting everything go through. So your white layer here is going to let the rose show through. This is the rose. And the black mask right here is covering up our distorted layer, which is that one. Okay, so now we have our two masks, and then they are the appropriate color. Alrighty, now we're going to be painting over these masks to get the effects that we want. So I'm going to go over here and select the brush tool. And notice that I've been working on this because our brush tool is already selected. But I'm going to go over to brushes, and the brush that I want to use is free brush Photoshop brushes, which is right here. I have a bunch of other brushes in my drop down, but these I pulled in because I want to give this a dust effect, which will make that exploding effect look a little bit better. And I want to go down here and hunt for 3365. That's the one I used before, so I think I'm going to stick with it. The 3365 is right here, and that's the one that we're going to be using. So now we've got our brush selected. Let's go back to layers and make sure that all of our checks and balances are affected. This is the mask we're going to be painting on. We have to make sure that the white is selected, because when we paint on a black mask with white, it's going to reveal what's underneath, which is going to be our distorted layer. So you can change the color of this by hitting the bracket keys. So this is how I make it more smaller. Or if I want something large, I can do this. Let's make it large and see what happens here. I didn't do it this way the last time, but I'm good for it. So here, your brush will, as you click on it and paint over it, it's going to show the distorted pieces of the distorted brush underneath. Now let's make it a little bit smaller so we can get things a little bit closer together. So here we are, trying to get our explosion effect to where it looks. And if you want to get it closer together, you can do this. First I put big dust drops, and now I put smaller dust drops. What's really going to make it look more like an explosion effect is when we go to the next mask. So you can always change this or take some of this off by selecting the black, and the black is then going to take all this stuff off that we've already done here. So let's make this bigger and see what we can get out here. So we have stuff out here. I think I'll click out there. And so this is what we have. Okay, so now we're going to select this mask. And this mask, what it's going to do is it's going to, we need to select the black thing. It's going to cover up the rose, because remember, when you paint in black, you're going to cover it up. And in this way, we can mesh the two brushes in with our masks. So I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. So we can go over this. And once I get done with this, I'll unclick it, and so you can see how much different it looks. So what I'm doing is I'm just painting over this with my brush, and it's going to affect the rose. We're painting over in black, and see, we're painting over here in black, so we can cover this up and make it look more exploding. So now let's see if we can find another kind of brush. I think this is what I'm going to go with, but there are other brushes down here. There was one I'll take this one. 3500. Let's see what this looks like. I'll just click with 3500 and see what happens. Okay, I don't want to get carried away to where I'm covering everything up. So right here what you have is, now you have the exploding rose. So let's go back to our layers. And to see what it looked like, if you don't remember, to see what it looked like before and after, I'll get out of my brushes. we can take this mask off, and that's what it would look like right there. We can take this mask off, and that's what it looks like originally. So this is what it looks like with just that diffuse effect. And then when you use the brushes on it, if you want to make the grains a little bit different size, then you can do that. So there's two ways of doing that. You can just stick with the diffuse effect, or you can go into your brushes, add masks on both the distorted rows and the regular rows, and then mess around with it and see what you get. So try some other brushes to see how this works for you. And remember, there's no right or wrong way to do this. What you like is what you like. But I'm just giving you two options if you want to do this explosion effect. So there's our exploding rows. Give this a try on your images and check out the effect. Remember to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to keep informed on when my next video drops. Also, check out my Buy Me a Coffee webpage for my latest posts and image gallery, as well as to help support my channel.